It's Tuesday, May 12th, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we're covering on today's episode of the show. And it's this, the battle against misinformation associated with the coronavirus is being fought on social media, with Twitter now flagging certain tweets with specific warning labels. And we've heard a lot from Xbox about their upcoming Series X console, but now we're finally getting a little bit more information from Sony. We'll have the details about their exclusive games. We'll also be joined by comedian, producer, actor, radio show host, and author Tom Papa. He'll be on to discuss his new uplifting and perfectly timed book, You're Doing Great, and Other Reasons to Stay Alive. And there is a lot going on in the world of electric vehicles. We'll have our own Ronan Glon on discussing the latest news, including details about a new Ford 1400 horsepower all-electric dragster. All of that and more on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. All right, and thank you everyone for joining us. Hello, this is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for being here. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and so much more, all broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. So whatever one you're on, you can join the conversations that we get to have. Let us know what you think, your comments, questions, all of that you can drop in on whatever one you're on. But let's get started with some news right now. One of the platforms we're on, and that a lot of people are, is Twitter. And Twitter has announced another step toward curbing misinformation that is getting posted on the site. This is one of a number of different things. We see a lot of social media outlets working on this. Twitter now announcing some new ones and actually dividing tweets into 3 different categories associated with some different things they would post on. So they said that for false or misleading content, it can take 3 different forms that they are actually basing on. Misleading information, which are statements or assertions that have been confirmed to be false, and those are the ones that they would flag and potentially remove. Disputed claims, in which the accuracy, truthfulness, or credibility of the claim is contested or unknown. And then unverified claims, which could be true or false. It's just unverified, so they could post something with that too. And they said these are things that you could start seeing on certain posts. You'll notice it if you post something that could get flagged with this, you would get that notification. Now you can click through that usually, and you would be able to say, okay, I see this notification that's on there. You click through it, and then you can see the tweet. Sometimes it will link to actual information where it's about, whether it's the CDC or WHO, or information about one of the claims that are in there. It's a lot that they're saying they're going to be doing. One of the big questions is, how are they going to enforce this? And they said that they've got a robust team. They're relying on third-party partners as well, and I'm going to assume people flagging things on top of that. So it's a bold move. I think misinformation is certainly a big issue in association with the coronavirus, but actually tracking that down and controlling it, well, these are the things that they're trying to figure out. So that's one of the steps that they're doing, so something you could be seeing soon on your Twitter page, not necessarily because you're posting false information, but if you see somebody else's post with that, that is why you're seeing it. So there's more details about that at digitaltrends.com. Continuing on here with trending news, let's talk about this. We have to. Elon Musk in the news, in association with the Tesla plant in California, in Alameda County. And this is something he announced yesterday, and I'm assuming he is continuing on today, where he is defying a stay-at-home order with the Tesla production facility there in Alameda County. Now, that county had ruled that that was non-essential, that they could not start back up, but they apparently have reopened it. He is saying that he is there on the front lines of it as well, at the factory, and he actually even made a post on Twitter saying if they come to arrest anyone, to just arrest him. Now, a statement from Alameda County said that they don't have any plans right now to go arrest anybody or anything like that, but certainly a developing situation, something to follow along with. Not to get into anything on that side of it, but just this is what's happening. It's that Elon Musk has apparently opened back up that Tesla plant in Alameda County despite stay-at-home orders, so we'll have to see where that all goes, but definitely an interesting story to follow. There's always a lot going on with Elon Musk, so you can check more out about that at digitaltrends.com. And again, keeping you up to date with what's going on in the news. For those of you who have students who are going to be graduating, this is a big week because Facebook and Instagram have an entire week of programming planned for you leading up to a May 15th graduation ceremony, online graduation ceremony, obviously, with people like Oprah that are going to be speaking at that. So this is something that's going to be happening each day. Today, being May 12th, they're actually going to be having something featuring athletes. So Sabrina Ionescu, The star basketball player, Miles Powell, and some other ones are going to be actually focusing tonight on some speeches that they're going to be giving and just talking to some of these grads. So there's a lot that's going to be happening all week. There's some specific stickers that are going to be out there for it, some specific hashtags, some photo challenges. So a lot kind of just spotlighting students because you're not getting their graduation. So there's different ways that you can follow along with that. But if you have a student that's in that position, definitely interesting. YouTube also has an entire thing that's going to be happening later on, I believe a couple of weeks from now, but we've got all the details at digitaltrends.com about that. Continuing on here with trending news for you to stay up to date with at the top of the show here, let's talk about the Sony PlayStation. Now, we've certainly heard a lot from Xbox about the Series X console, which is going to be coming out later on this year, according to them, but not a lot about Sony's PlayStation 5. But we did get a little bit more information today. So this is a trailer that they put out, kind of an opening, if you will, for what they are now dubbing PlayStation Studios. So this has to do with their exclusive games that come out on PlayStation. So we're talking about games like Spider-Man, The Last of Us, Uncharted, Gran Turismo. They're all from different development companies that Sony owns, but now they're going to have this. So that's kind of a very Marvel-esque trailer that's going to be there in association with all those games. So at least it's something from Sony about PlayStation games. Now I hope, that they showcase what the PS5 is going to look like before too long, but so far we don't have anything other than possible renderings of what it could appear to be. We know a little bit more about the specs from an interview, but we don't know what it's going to look like. So hopefully we'll get some more of that, but at least that's something that Sony's announcing. Xbox continues to have their events where they showcase more of their games and actually live gaming play and what it's going to look like on the new console. So hopefully this will spur Sony to give a little bit more, but at least we have that information. Continuing on with entertainment and things that we are doing at home, let's talk about Quibi. Quibi launched just over a month ago, and the number of downloads for it, the number of people watching it, has not been up to what they expected. So Jeffrey Katzenberg even made a statement saying that he blames it entirely on coronavirus. Now, if you're unfamiliar, this is the platform, and this is actually something you can download. I think it's a free 90-day trial still, where you watch it on your phone. You have two different ways you can watch it. You watch it straight up and down, you watch it sideways. They're about 10 minutes each, and it's all like they said, movies by chapter or shows that are on there. Reno 911's on there. They've got some amazing stars on there, but it just has not been watched that much. One of the ways that they're looking to mitigate that is actually make it able to where you can cast it to your TV. So that's something that you haven't been able to do up till now. You have not been able to cast it to your television, meaning you have to watch it on your phone. But for those of you who use an iPhone and have Quibi, this week it's rolling out for you. Now, Android users, it's going to be a few weeks more before that, but that's something else that they're trying to do to get more people to watch this while they're at home. I'll say the Reno 911 reunion is really good. That's on that platform, but there's a lot of programming that's on there, but that is what they're working on to at least make it something that you can use more at home. There's a lot of details about this. It's a kind of an interesting thing to read about when you find out more about that interview that Jeffrey Katzenberg did, but that is all at digitaltrends.com, where you can stay up to date with that. But again, just another platform that's out there. And when we talk about the streaming wars, certainly everybody wants our attention with that. There's so many different streaming platforms that are out there, and Disney Plus is one of them that's battling, this impending HBO Max, Peacock, and then let alone Netflix and everything else that is out there right now, Quibi. So Disney Plus has announced that they are actually moving up the release of their movie, Hamilton, which is actually just a professionally filmed edition of the Broadway play with the original cast. That was going to be going out to theaters October 15th, 2021. They've completely changed it. So now it's going to be out July 3rd of this year as a Disney Plus exclusive. So that's something that's going to be coming out on Disney Plus July 3rd this year. So moving up well over a year and putting it on the streaming only, and it shows what this battle is with streaming services when it comes to content. One of the reasons that they may have done that is because all of those Marvel standalone shows, they all had to be stopped. The production had to be stopped on those. So they're looking for content. And this is something that you're going to see a lot with these streaming services as they try to power through this until production can start back up with a lot of things, as you may see more things like that. But definitely an interesting move on Disney Plus's account to move a film up, a theatrical release, over a year and put it straight to the streaming service. So we'll have to see whether this spurs some other organizations or production companies to do the same thing. But you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's now time for the product of the day.
All right, well, a lot of us are cooking at home more now in association with quarantine, everything else that's going on, so you need some good utensils to do that with. And how about a 4-burner open cart LP gas grill? That is what we're talking about right now. It is your chance to grill. This is the Dynaglow 4-burner and LP gas grill. So this has 4 12,000 BTU stainless steel burners. It's got a cooking area of 461 square inches. It's equipped with a fully welded and polished double wall black lid, excuse me. It's got an open cart design, so you can have a 20-pound LP tank holder. It's equipped with removable drip pan and a grease cup to keep it clean. This is a really nice grill that you've got. It's got porcelain-coated cast iron cooking grates to produce restaurant-quality sear marks. And it's a push and turn ignition, so it's real easy to start and stop, so that way you don't have to get into that too much. But this is something that, it's even got a bottle opener. Look at that, it's got everything. So that's the Dynaglow 4-burner propane gas grill. You see that link that's right there. That is where you can go and take advantage of the deal that is going on right now. And that is, so just type that in right below me, right there. Right now, it's on sale for $179, and that is $20 off the normal price, so $179, 10% off. And you can take advantage of that by following that link. That is our product of the day. All right, let's continue on here with the show. We're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, we have comedian, author, we have producer, we have actor. Tom Papa is going to be here. Tom has pretty much every title that you can think of, but we're going to be talking about his new book that's coming out. He's also got a new podcast that just came out today. All of this is happening right now. Tom Papa is fantastic, so stick around. We'll be right back with him after this break here on Digital Trends Live. Back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler again. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button and you get the notifications when we go live, which is every single day. But we get to talk to some amazing people like our next guest, who is a comedian, producer, an actor, a writer, an author, and his new book is coming out today. It's called You're Doing Great and Other Reasons to Stay Alive. We have the wonderful Tom Papa joining us. Tom, thank you so much for being here to start off with. One thing we're asking everybody for their first question is, how are you holding up during quarantine?
I'm holding up all right. I'm doing okay. I'm staying optimistic, staying positive, eating good food, working out. I'm all right. I'm starting to think that maybe I'm getting a little too comfortable.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Once you get adapted into it, I don't know what it's going to be like after this if we can go back out again. Well, talking about, your book, and you mentioned your optimism, and I want to make sure everybody knows. So You're Doing Great and Other Reasons to Stay Alive, which is a collection of essays that you've written, and you do have this always optimistic outlook, it feels like. Like, what keeps you being so optimistic about everything?
Well, I feel like I think I was taught the lesson from my family, especially my grandparents, who had gone through everything, depression and wars and all the stuff. They had every reason to give up hope, and they didn't. And they saw that they believed that being here and being alive was a blessing and something that should be enjoyed and shared with everybody. And I think that was just beat into my head over and over again. And you start to see how quickly life goes by. And I realized like 5 years ago, like, why would I spend this time that is flying by? Why would I spend it just watching cable news and getting aggravated and fighting? And you really, this is it. This is it. These are the good times. So make the best of it. And it doesn't mean that you have to fly off and try and like get private jets and all the rest of it. It's the little stuff that can actually make you happy. So I just felt like, let me live in that. Like it sounds kind of funny, but lower your expectations and you'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about the fact that you have this book that's coming out right now, too. I mean, it's perfectly timed for everybody who probably needs something a little bit uplifting, and you've got this out there, and you're sharing such, a lot of personal details about your life in it. Was there any apprehension in sharing some of these essays that you put out there for the world to read?
No, there is a little bit when you're writing and you're going to share something. It's kind of, you get this little moment of, should I? But it's actually, once you do it, that's the stuff that people always talk about and is a little bit more memorable. It's like, there's been a lot of stuff out there and written and filmed. It's like, so if you can dig a little deeper, maybe you can uncover something that's a little more fun, a little more interesting.
Looking at your career, because you perform in so many different aspects, but certainly one of those is performing in front of crowds when it comes to comedy performances. And I think a lot of us are thinking about, how is that going to look afterward? How do you think a standard stand-up comedy performance is going to look once we start to come out of this thing?
I think, well, I got an offer to go do a club in Salt Lake City and in like a couple weeks. And what they're going to do is have half the capacity and give everybody a chance to have more social distancing. And it's going to be a little Frankenstein in the beginning. I mean, we've got to do the right things to keep each other safe. And then it'll just be baby steps until we're back and feel better about it, which probably will be some time. But I think it's just going to be a little strange for a little bit. It'll seem different. It's like the mask thing, right? It feels weird. It looks weird. You get anxious, but then just realize this is temporary and it's to help other people. And let's just move forward with it. But at this point, I've been in my house so long, I would perform in front of 20 people if they'd let me.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned, it's strange, and it will be a little bit different. That makes sense that it's spread out. And, you also talked about private jets, and you've performed all over the world. Something I'm always curious with somebody of your stature who's performed everywhere. What's one of the strangest places you've ever performed?
Oh my God, so bizarre. I'll give you a city though. I mean, there's bars and there's strange places, nursing homes. There's lots of different like crazy gigs that you have when you're coming up. But one of the strangest cities I ever performed in was Laughlin, Nevada. I didn't know that place existed. It was about 200 degrees. It was just a hotel at the bottom of this canyon. It was very strange, and the people there were all fried. They couldn't even really listen. It got so bad that at a certain point in my set, I just took out a yo-yo and started playing it, and they just watched
me. Yes, that is very odd. But hey, if a yo-yo works, I mean, I guess it worked in that situation. Something else I want to ask you about too is, you've got the book that's out today, and I want to remind everybody of that. You also have Baking Bread with Tom Papa, which I just watched part of today. Tom Segura is your guest on that one. Tell us about that show. What inspired you to make this show?
Well, it's funny, I've been baking bread for a long time, and on social media and stuff, people have always been asking me about how to make it and stuff. And I put out a whole series of YouTube tutorials on showing people finally how to make sourdough bread. And then the pandemic hit and all of a sudden everyone was scrambling. It was just timing. It was weird. So I had a podcast, like other comedians have podcasts where you just hang out and talk. But for me in life, all of the best conversations come when you sit down with somebody and actually break bread and you drink and you host them. And I figured, let me do a podcast about that. And when you ask somebody, who fed you when you were a child? What were your favorite things to eat when you were growing up? It just is a great launching point for this conversation. It just goes in places you never would expect. And people get excited the more they talk about their grandmother and where they were growing up and all this stuff. And it just, I don't know, just that act of breaking bread with somebody was so special. I figured let's put it in a podcast.
Well, and I think you're right. You know, sharing bread like that does kind of open everything up. Although now it's over a distance, of course, can't be in person. But Tom Segura being your first guest, and you have so many, friends that are in the business as well. Any idea on who else we can look forward to that you're going to be interviewing?
Yeah, we've got Alonzo Bowden is the next one. We've got Joe Rogan's coming on, Duncan Trussell. I'm sure I'll get my buddy Seinfeld to do it, Ali Wong, all these great people. And then I want to expand it not just for comedians, but I also want to have it with different restaurant owners. I had this Food Network show, and there's all these great people like Vito's Pizza in LA. Is this great gregarious guy. And to sit down and talk with them and authors and people like that, and really just kind of expand it. Because when you ask anybody, I was getting my hair cut, and I asked this Russian guy, like, what kind of bread did you have growing up? He was like, I don't know. And then 2 seconds later, he started telling stories about clay ovens and his grandmother, and he just talked for the next 30 minutes. And it was so interesting that you can ask people these little questions about that. Who cared for them is what you're really asking. And then it just kind of goes. So it hopefully it'll be an endless list of people.
And with that, I just have kind of a random question to ask you. With all those guests that you have on there, and I know they're all your friends too. If you had to be in quarantine with either Joe Rogan or Jerry Seinfeld, which one would you choose? Like, you're quarantined in a house together for months.
Oh man, that's a tough question. They're both kind of annoying. Seinfeld would be very strict about how you behave, and Rogan would be very strict about how much you worked out. So either one would be really rough.
One thing else, just to remind everybody too that, the show is coming out and talking about baking bread. I just have one final question with that. Since you are the expert and everybody's trying to bake bread right now or cook, what is the one piece of tech that you recommend for anybody who's starting out that should have if they're going to bake bread?
Digital scale, a good digital scale. People get so lost. Flour compacts. You have to measure it. You can't go by cups, because it'll mess with you. You need that kind of precision. The digital scale is good. And an iPad, actually, to keep all of my videos going while you're baking, like to have that set up, that's a good tool also. Nice.
Well, I want to recommend for everybody too. You're doing great. Another Reasons to Stay Alive out right now for everybody to pick up. And of course, Breaking Bread is up as well. People can watch that. It's great. It's really interesting hearing you talk to everybody. And I'm looking forward to the next episodes as well. TomPapa.com. You're on Instagram. You're everywhere. You're everywhere. People can find you everywhere. And I want to say thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. I'm everywhere and nowhere, just like you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, Tom Papa, thank you for being here on Digital Trends Live. Really appreciate it. Everybody go out there, pick up his book.
Thank you.
All right. So very cool. Very interesting to have that conversation. And thank you to Tom Papa for being here on the show today. And thank you to everybody who's watching. We've got more coming up, though. We've got a lot to talk about. We have Winnie Sun, who's going to be giving us some advice here in a little bit. But up next, we've got Ronan Glahn, who's going to talk about the world of automotive technology. There's a lot that's happening with that, with electric vehicles. Where are we all at? Well, we'll find out here in just a minute. So stick around back here right after this with more Digital Trends Live. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Again, hit that subscribe button. That way you can join the show every single day when we're broadcasting and get to hear all the interviews and the wonderful news that we get to talk about and all the things in technology. It's exciting. We want to share it with you. So up next, let's do this, though. Let's talk about the world of automotive technology. There's always a lot happening, but it seems like there's a lot more happening now than ever before with electric vehicles and everything going on with that. That's why we have Ronen Glon, who's joining us to bring us up to date. Ronen, as always, good to see you. I want to talk about this Ford car right out of the gate, though. What is going on? An electric dragster? What's happening here?
Yeah, it's really cool. It kind of takes Ford further into the EV world as kind of a follow-up to the Mustang Mach-E and the lithium concept from 2019. It's called Cobra Jet, which is a name borrowed from a 7-liter V8 used in the 1960s, but it doesn't burn gasoline. It uses an electric drivetrain rated at 1,400 horsepower. That's a massive amount of power, and 1,100 pound-feet of torque, which gives it a quarter-mile time of under 8 seconds. So that might not mean much, but just keep in mind it's faster than anything that Ferrari or McLaren make.
So faster than both of those with electric. So what does this mean going forward once these things start happening again? Is this like the race, a new arms race when it comes to electric vehicles? Could somebody else be following suit?
Chevrolet already had an electric dragster based on the Camaro, but it didn't really get anywhere. This is a serious dragster. You've got the big tires, you've got the wheelie bar and the parachute out back. It's got the whole package. Ford will continue fine-tuning it in 2020, and we'll take it to the track before the end of the year. But we don't quite know what the future holds for it right now. Though I do hear that there could be a hybrid option offered on the next generation Mustang, so it might be a way to kind of prepare enthusiasts for the idea of adding some kind of electrification to the Mustang nameplate.
I love it. I think that's always interesting to see something like that. And we talk about technology and just where it's going, getting super fast electric vehicles, but 5G is still on its way at some point. And I know that the ultimate goal is for 5G to be everywhere. We don't need to get into conspiracy theories, and I'm sure we'll get some comments somewhere about this, but 5G is happening. And so 5G in vehicles is also something that I know a lot of people are looking forward to just because of some of the real advantages that come with that. Where are we at with that, and what's the state, I guess, of 5G in vehicles?
5G, putting it in the car is a big challenge. I spoke with Roger Drawless from Harman, which is owned by Samsung, and his team is working with BMW to integrate to make in-car 5G a reality by 2021. So I've got a quick question for you. When was the last time you pulled out an antenna to make a phone call with your smartphone?
I don't know. I probably, because I never throw anything away, I could probably find the phone and figure out a date for it, but it's been quite a while.
See, for me, it was probably 2006. I had a Kyocera slider phone. I don't know if you remember those. Anyway, antennas have disappeared. Yeah, we haven't used those in about 15 or 14 years. And this kind of technology is making its way to the automotive world because there's so many antennas needed to put 5G in a car. You don't want to drive around with a car that looks like it's got a satellite dish on its roof. So Harman is developing a very compact antenna that they can mount several modules on, and they can actually put that under the roof so it can receive a signal through the sheet metal. It's a pretty clever piece of kit. There's hurdles. Heat is a big problem, but it's nothing that can't be solved. So the first 5G equipped cars should be on the market in about 2021. It's probably going to be at BMW, though. I'm guessing we're going to have other announcements from Audi and Mercedes-Benz, for example, by the end of 2020.
Nice. So that's actually a lot sooner than I thought when it comes to that. So, I mean, there's so much to, and I just, for everybody out there, if you want to read more about 5G in vehicles and what that could enable, I mean, we're talking about autonomous vehicles, we're talking about all the self-driving capabilities, everything else that goes along with that, and cars talking to each other. It's pretty exciting stuff. So that's good to know that there's at least some kind of a timeline, but that is still very challenging. I know the last thing we want to bring up too is just Tesla, and there's so many things we could talk about with Tesla, but I know there's a delay in one of the things that they were going to be making.
And the delay seems like the least of their problems right now, considering what's happened even just this morning. But so the Roadster, which was announced in 2017, I believe, it was supposed to come out in 2020. Tesla started taking reservations, and they're pretty expensive reservations. This is a $200,000 car, $250,000 for the Founders Series. And it's now been delayed until after the Cybertruck makes its debut. Cybertruck is scheduled to enter production in late 2021. It's also going to be delayed until after the Semi arrives, which is going to be after the Cybertruck. It's kind of a series of delays and missed deadlines at this point. But we're not going to see the Roadster until the very end of 2021 or probably 2022 at this point, which is kind of surprising because the Model Y, which we talked about on this show a few weeks ago, was actually well ahead of schedule. So I thought Tesla was done with delays, but apparently not. So people who signed up for a Roadster are going to have to wait quite a bit longer for it, it seems.
Do you think that could have any effect on, with the Roadster being delayed, do you see the Cybertruck being pushed out even further too?
I don't think so, but what's interesting is that the Cybertruck is going to be built in a new facility, and this is even before the whole lockdown scandal, which Musk threatening or inviting authorities to arrest him. Even before all of this, the Cybertruck was going to be built in a new factory that was going to be located. People said either Texas or Nevada, but there were other options too. I mean, Tesla was kind of shopping around for incentives, frankly. So, but saying you're going to build a new factory is very easy. Building it is much more time consuming, much more expensive. So 2021, late 2021, that gives Tesla about a year and a half to figure out where they're going to build a factory and build it and start production of a brand new vehicle. That's ambitious. It's not impossible, but it's very ambitious. And I wouldn't be surprised if it gets delayed into 2022, maybe the first half of 22. That's just speculation on my part, though.
Yeah, but I think that's well-founded speculation, though, when it comes to Tesla. Like you said, it's surprising when something comes ahead of schedule. Usually it does seem to be pushed out, but we'll have to see where it goes. And yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with Tesla and Elon Musk right now, or interesting things, I'll say. But Ronan, as always, thank you very much for keeping us up to date with everything that's going on in the world of vehicles. We've got the link right there, but you can follow up with everything that you just talked about.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Ronan Glahn right there, digitaltrends.com/cars. You can follow up with everything that's going on, a lot happening in that space. But let's switch gears here. Coming up next, we've got Winnie Sun back, and she is going to give us some financial advice. In particular, we're talking about people, and especially those of you that are out there who have maybe filed for unemployment. I mean, it is a difficult time, and we definitely know that. Well, she's got the advice on what you need to do next and how to actually manage this and what comes next. She's got all the advice, so that's coming up next. Stick around. We'll be right back with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Again, thank you for joining us. Hit that subscribe button. That way you get notifications when we go live and you get to join in the conversations we get to have, because we talk about all kinds of things, including two experts like Winnie Sun, who is joining us here once again to help us out and to help navigate this crazy time that we're all going through. And in particular, for a lot of people out there who are unemployed right now, and there's so many people. And Winnie, Thanks for being here. Can you give us kind of an overall context, maybe some numbers about what we're actually looking at when it comes to unemployment?
Absolutely, Greg. You probably seen over 20 million people, Americans, apply for unemployment last month. So certainly, things are not getting better. And just think about the people who haven't even applied for unemployment yet. So there's certainly more that's going to be unraveling here. But most important, like one thing that a lot of people forget is that unemployment payments, those who do receive it, they're fully taxable too, on top of everything else.
So that's something very important to keep in mind, yeah, for everybody out there. And something else, with it there, and it's navigating this is very difficult for a lot of people, and
Yes.
and understandably so. So say somebody files for unemployment, can you walk us through what do they do next? Like what are the next steps? What are things they need to be concerned about?
Absolutely. So if you find yourself in a position where you're no longer working or you've been laid off or even furloughed, then the first thing you want to do is go to your state online, ideally, so you don't have to wait in line and file for unemployment. And the good news is, thanks to the federal relief program, in addition to what you'll be receiving from your state each week, you'll also be receiving up to $600 per week as part of the federal relief package. Now, understand, like we talked about earlier, those payments are fully taxable. So you'll want to make sure that you allocate a portion of that for yourself for when you have to file your taxes later on. But there's a lot of things that you can do in addition to filing for unemployment. And one of those things is really to figure out where you can grab money to be able to sustain yourself for the next few weeks and months. So taking a look at, your checking account balance or savings account balance, maybe tapping family and friends and see if they can't give you a personal loan, and then look at things that are fully taxable, that, like your after tax savings, maybe in a brokerage account, mutual funds, whatever you may be, before tapping in more expensive assets like credit card or even your retirement assets.
Yeah, talking about that, when it comes to 401k, say somebody gets let go, do you advise that they tap into that, or where should somebody stand when it comes to that?
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. The interesting thing about the CARES Act is they actually included language for your IRAs and your 401k plans. Now, so most employees that have been, like a lot of them have 401k plans. So what does that mean? So technically speaking, if you were to borrow against your 401k in a normal situation, you would have a loan that you would be able to pay back in about 5 years. You'd pay yourself back. So that's a plus. Now with the CARES Act, they're actually extending it. So you can actually get one extra year. So you get 6 years to pay yourself back. Or you can actually take a distribution. So you can actually take out money from your 401k or your IRA up to 100,000, or the balance that you have, whichever of the two is higher. And then you can pay it back essentially in 3 years. But there is a caveat to that. If you don't pay it back within 3 years, then you will be subject to taxes. So it's really important that we consider this sort of as a last step. Like there's so many other avenues that you want to deplete or use up, or try to find money elsewhere, or even find a side job right now to sustain yourself, take advantage of unemployment, and try to, if you can, leave your retirement assets to where they are right now.
Looking at it from another standpoint too, of things that people are thinking about buying, things like life insurance. A lot of people maybe don't have that, but now in these times you start thinking about all kinds of different aspects of life, and life insurance being one of those. Is this a good time for somebody to be doing that?
Yeah, we've seen an uptick in interest. Certainly, our clients, in addition to this, have been calling and asking about not only life insurance but long-term care insurance, and then things like estate planning, getting wills and trusts and such in order. So certainly, what's interesting, I think, if you can, definitely go through the process of getting your will and living trust done. The great news is a lot of attorneys are doing this via Zoom or Skype, so you don't even have to go into the office. The only part that you'll have to see somebody is when you notarize your legal documents. But when it comes to insurance, like life insurance and long-term care, a lot of it's based on longevity tables. And what happens is, as you get older, those costs can actually go up. And in the past, what's good is, because we're living longer, healthier living standards and whatnot, the rates actually sort of stayed the same, even though as we got a little bit older. But unfortunately, recently, both life insurance and long-term care costs, insurance premiums have gone up. So if you're interested in doing that, I would suggest sort of reviewing and looking at different options sooner rather than later.
When it comes to going from the personal side to the small business side, and certainly I'm sure everybody knows a small business that's been affected by this, and if they got the PPP loan, that's great. what should those small businesses be doing to either have that forgiven, or what should they be preparing for when it comes to that loan?
Yeah, Greg, that's a big question. I'm so glad you're asking that because, see, those of you who received the PPP loan, you probably are breathing a sigh of relief. But what you don't know is you actually, in order to have the majority of that forgiven, you have to pay it out to your employees and rather quickly, if you will. So if you do receive your PPP loans, the best thing should do right now is go back to your bank and have them open up a mirrored business account for the same account. So the monies went into your business account, open the same account, and move those PPP funds to that second account. And then make sure you're paying out your employees within 8 weeks. Okay, so then the majority of that money needs to go pay for your workers, your employees, to make sure that they can sustain themselves. So if you're in a situation where you have one employee that is no longer working with you or decreasing their hours because of maybe childcare issues or whatever, then you can also increase the hours on another employee or even hire another employee just to maintain your employee base and make sure your payroll stays pretty much the same as it was a few months ago in order to get the majority of that loan forgiven. And remember, you've got 8 weeks to do that. So you want to definitely speak with your accountant if you have one and really game plan this out so you make sure that you're in a situation that you're not ending up paying for more of a loan than you actually need.
Wow, Winnie, such good advice, and always, when you come on here, really, really appreciate it. I know people have more and more questions. Like this is such a confusing time, and it's a great time to go get advice from an expert. Where can we send them to get advice from you and to work, with everything that you know?
Thank you, Greg. Well, they can check me out at our website is sungroupwp.com, or you can just Google me, Winnie Sun, and lots of places that you can find me.
Great. Winnie, thank you. Always great to talk to you. Always great to get advice from you. And I know we'll have you back next week. And Winnie, I'll talk to you then.
Thank you, Greg. Take care.
You too. All right, Winnie Sun right here on Digital Trends Live. Seriously, great advice. Check that out, winniesun.com. And she also does some live streams on LinkedIn as well that you can always watch and tune in and get some great information. All right, continuing on here. We have got so much that is going on here on this show. But up next, we've got Brock Plays Fortnite. He's going to be joining us to talk about everything that he's got going on and actually talking about the beginning of how he started, some advice on how to become a hit on YouTube, everything that we're going to be covering here, and that's all part of Who's Got Game, which is our segment that's coming up next. So stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler here for another edition of Who's Got Game, where we partner with Full Screen and bring on amazing entertainers, creators, gamers, all kinds of people to talk about what makes them tick. And that's what's coming up next. We've got David, who is probably known by you as Brock Plays Fortnite. David, I want to say thank you so much for joining us here today. Really appreciate it. Something we're asking everybody, no matter what they do, is how are you holding up during quarantine?
Honestly, man, for somebody like me, a YouTuber, it's been really, really easy because I was already doing everything from home. So it's definitely a lot easier for content creators than it is for people who, have to like commute for work and stuff.
Well, and talking about that, with you being a creator, you've been doing this for a long time, which I think it's really interesting that maybe people don't know this backstory. Like, you started off, is that right, when you were 12 years old doing this?
Yeah, that's when I made my very first video. I was 12 years old, and it was a response video to a challenge a YouTuber issued. It was just a 10-second video of me jumping on the couch, but it started everything that I have now, man. It's crazy.
So you did that one video, and then it's like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to start making more videos like this. Well, do you go into that, and there's so many people that want to try to be YouTube creators. And I want to ask you, for you starting off, is there some advice that you would like to go back and give yourself when you started that maybe you could share with us as far as starting off in this?
I think one of the most important things is uploading very consistently. A lot of people are afraid of uploading too much because they don't want their viewers to get bored. But for me, it's been the more I upload, the more I grow. So like most people I see, they only want to upload once a week, and I upload every single day. I think that's one of the most important things.
So staying consistent with that and making sure that there's always content going out, that's definitely interesting. And you've been, like you said, putting up content for years now and doing this every single day. What are some of the trends that you've seen, even within your own content, like say over the last couple of years?
Right now, one of the biggest things is, I guess in Fortnite, is the aimbot hashtag. Like, it's pretty much one of the biggest reasons my channel blew up. A lot of people really love seeing really good aim, especially after Jarvis got banned for actually aimbotting. Comparing me to him, like my natural aim, is what really caused my channel to blow up a lot. And it's also helped a couple of my teammates blow up. One of them's at 70,000 subscribers, and one of them's also at 20,000. With that aimbot hashtag.
Wow, that's pretty incredible, just doing that and looking at that, working with a team. What is it like being a part of that, compared to doing stuff on your own, working with other people?
It's a lot of fun. I personally love it. The reason I'm actually the person that started the team. It's called Illustrious. This is our logo. The reason I started was because I was getting pretty lonely and bored, like always being alone. And having a team makes it feel like so much more like a family, and it's a lot easier to stay consistent and motivate each other.
And talking about motivation, different things, with you posting up on YouTube consistently, what are some other things that you could share with people that are out there wanting to follow on your success?
Just one of the biggest, I guess, things that holds people back is they're scared. They don't want to just do it. Like, that's really all you got to do is just do it. You don't need a crazy setup. All you need is a recording and a microphone that can be nowadays had for $10, and just start uploading. My first videos are not very like professional compared to what I upload nowadays.
So stay consistent, and then keep on growing and getting more professional with it. For you, being a pro gamer and posting every day, I can't imagine you have a lot of free time, but who are some other gamers that you follow that you like to watch?
Right now, one of the people I talk to the most is Okaibo. He's also a big YouTuber, but I watch all kinds of smaller content creators. I'm in a pretty cool group chat on Twitter with a lot of big YouTubers, and that's one thing that I really never imagined myself doing, like being able to be equal with all those other big YouTubers that also have 100,000 or more subscribers. And but there's a lot of them.
For something else too, just going beyond games, since we've all been in kind of quarantine, and for you, this is kind of going along with what you normally do, but is there any particular television show or anything that you've been binge watching while you've been going through this?
Not a specific show, but I do binge watch a lot of YouTube clips, like house clips and friends clips, like those little 3-minute videos they upload on YouTube. I watch those a lot, but not like full episodes lately.
Is there any other? I mean, and obviously Fortnite, you know, being huge. What other games do you play that you just enjoy playing? Whether it's for pro stuff uploading on YouTube or just on your own time.
Right now it's just Fortnite. Every now and then, rarely I'll play Warzone with my friends if they want me, like really want me to get on. But for the most part, just Fortnite.
So, anything that you're looking forward to with Fortnite, or something that you've seen that you're looking forward to here in this coming next few months that could be happening with Fortnite?
Yeah, basically the next season is always the most exciting part of the first day of the season is the most exciting part of the season. So that should be coming soon, and that's always what people are looking forward to, and always see a huge bump in views and searches when that happens.
Did you attend the concerts that Fortnite had here over this last? I know there was Travis Scott, and there's the other one with Steve Aoki. Have you gone to those?
Yeah, the Travis Scott one was actually cool because I've never been a person that likes to go to concerts, stuff like that, but in game it was a really interesting experience.
Is there any performer that you would like to see do an in-game concert? Since you haven't gone to a lot of in-person concerts, who would you like to see perform in Fortnite?
My favorite artist of all time is Eminem. So if he ever did, something like that, that'd be amazing. But yeah, Eminem would be awesome on Fortnite for a concert.
Nice. Is there anybody you would like to go against when you're playing Fortnite? Like one opponent that you would like to play that you haven't yet?
No, against, when it comes to pro players, a lot of people, I'm really good at Fortnite, but a lot of people think they compare me to people like Face Sway or Unknown Army. And if I was to ever go against them, they'd, completely mop the floor, man. Those are very top tier players.
Well, you are definitely top tier, and obviously, huge success on YouTube, and really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us today too. And for everybody out there, they can watch your videos every single day. So hit subscribe and follow along with what you do. And David, thanks so much for being here on Digital Trends Live.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. And just want to say a shout out to my boy Ursus from Fullscreen for setting this up.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah. So every week we've got this Who's Got Game partnering with Fullscreen. So every week we'll be talking to somebody really cool like David. Brock Plays Fortnite right here on Digital Trends Live. And I want to thank everybody who's joining us here every single day. So taking a look here at what we have coming up here. Well, tomorrow on the show, we've got another edition of TBD, where we'll have Adrian Warner and Jess Surba here to talk to us about, well, we'll find out. It's TBD. That's one of the fun things about that segment. So that'll be coming up tomorrow. But also we'll have all of your tech headlines, news, interviews, people like Tom Papa, who was on today, people like David, Brock Plays Fortnite, here on the show, and it's always fun, and that's why we want you to hit that subscribe button, whatever platform you're on, that we get the notifications when we do go live, and you can follow along with us here every single day that we are here bringing you content. So thanks so much for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler. I'll see you right back here tomorrow with another edition of Digital Trends Live.